Well, hello there, fellow adventurers. Today, I want to talk to you all about Uber versus Didi. Now, some of you all may not be familiar with Didi, but Didi is a ride sharing service found in Latin American countries like here in Mexico and Merida. And so some of you are asking me questions about what is it like to live in Merida. And today I want to share with you the difference between Uber and Didi. All right. So I'm Jackie Robinson, live and abroad from Merida, Mexico. And so if you are thinking about traveling to Merida or traveling to Mexico, you're likely going to be debating whether or not to take Uber or if you know about Didi, to take Didi. And so I'm going to break it down for you today in today's video. And at the same time, I'm going to be sharing some screens, some websites that I think you all will find useful. So let's first of all talk about available coverage in Merida. So if I go here and talk about Uber, all right, Uber, which you all know about Uber. Uber is in the United States. You're familiar with Uber. You may have family or friends that drive Uber, but Uber is widely recognized and used by expats and tourists as they travel throughout Mexico. However, here in Merida and Cancun, uh, due to local tax regulations, Uber drivers in Merida sometimes won't pick you up from the airport or they won't pick you up from the bus station. Okay. And I know in Atlanta, they changed the pickup location at the Hartsfield Jackson International Airport to way out somewhere away from the terminal. And so it's the same here. And because of taxi regulations, the Uber or Didi may not pick you up from the airport or from the bus stations. Okay. So, on the other hand, that's Uber. Uber will not pick you up from the airport or from the bus station because of taxi regulations. However, Didi, which is more local to the Mexican economy, tends to have fewer restrictions, making it a better option for some locations. And so this is Uber, and you can see that you can get from Cancun, you can take an Uber, or you can also use Didi. Didi is definitely something that I have been using here in Mexico for all kinds of things, not only for rides, but they also deliver food. Uber is widely used here with reliable availability in the city center and in the tourist zones. But in Merida, Mexico, the tourist zone is going to be in Central. Outside of Central, I'd say about 3 or 4 or 5 miles, then most people would be using Didi, but I'll get more into Didi in a minute. So drivers are often bilingual when you use Uber. They either can speak Spanish or they can speak English. Prices are slightly higher than Didi, but the app interface, how you use the apps, is typically the same. It's very familiar in terms of requesting a ride, knowing who the driver is, his license plates, the code that you need to give him. So Uber and Didi operate the same when it comes to that. Also, you can set up your Uber account and your Didi account for your credit card payment. They don't take cash. They don't take American dollars, definitely here in Mérida, Mexico. So you would have to have pesos. And the Didi drivers are not going to take pesos. The Uber drivers are not going to take pesos. So you have to set up your account on the app. Now, wait times are usually for Uber under 10 minutes. But it's been my experience that even if I order a Didi driver, it doesn't take very long for him to get to my location. Okay, so that's Didi. There's Didi, which I have an account with Didi. This is the online web version of it. You would have to download it and put it on your phone to see the actual interface for Didi. And then you all are familiar with Uber, which I can, let's see, not that one. I want this one. Okay. That's Uber. All right. So the interface on your phone is going to typically be the same for Uber and Didi. The pickup location, the drop-off location, do you want to be picked up now? And so on and so forth as it relates to Uber and Didi. Now, because Uber has more drivers, you may find shorter wait times than Didi compared to Didi, especially during peak hours. And I would imagine that that would be in the city center of the city. Okay. Let me get out of this. Stop sharing this one. That would be in the city center where all the attractions are, the museums, the libraries, the restaurants, things of interest. Okay, the wait time would probably be a little bit faster if you're taking a Didi. Now, I want to talk about safety and trustworthiness. Now, because Uber is more familiar to Americans and other European countries, maybe Canada, you might find that you trust Uber a lot more than you do some other rideshare service like Didi. But both platforms, both Didi and Uber, have security features like driver tracking, ride sharing options, and emergency buttons. However, Uber tends to have a slightly better reputation for vetting its drivers. So they're going to vet you, okay? They're going to go through all of the process to make sure that you are legitimate. I'm not saying that that's not what Didi does, but that's something that we are familiar with, especially coming from the United States. We trust Uber because we feel like Uber has vetted their drivers. Also, it's always important that if you're traveling using a rideshare service, that you share that ride information with someone that you may be traveling with. If you're a solo traveler, there are other precautions, there are other safety precautions in place, especially with Uber, that I'll get to in just a second. Just take a little sip here. So let's talk about Uber safety. Now, I had a situation where I had an Uber driver pick me up, and his name was Carlos. He was an older gentleman. And Carlos didn't speak any English whatsoever, and my Spanish was un poquito, meaning very little. And at the time, my iPhone, for some reason, I could not get internet connection. And that was because I had data turned on and internet. So if you have AT&T service and you come to Mérida, Mexico, and you want to continue with your AT&T service, it's a good idea to turn off the Wi-Fi and just use data. Now, the signal bars are going to be LTE or light. And so it's going to have to try to find a tower in order to connect. But I have found that once I turn off the Wi-Fi using AT&T data, I'm able to connect to the apps on my phone. So let me tell you this little story about Carlos and the Uber ride. So when I ordered the Uber, I put in the address as Cali, let's say Cali 53. Now in Merida, Mexico, and in Mexico, the streets, the word Cali means street. And so I put in Cali 53, but Cali 53 is like being in Atlanta and there's like 50,000 Peachtree streets. You have to know the neighborhood for Cali 53 that you want to go to. For instance, I should have put in Cali 53, San Ramon, Montebello, but I just put Cali 53. And what happened was Carlos took me west because once he put it into the Uber GPS, he is going to follow the Uber GPS. That's his process. So instead of him going 5 miles east, Carlos was driving 15 miles west. And as I'm watching the GPS on the app on my phone, I realized that he was going in the wrong direction. And I'm trying to talk to him. He's not understanding English. I'm not understanding Spanish. And he just kept driving. Eventually, he pulls up in this neighborhood. And the neighborhood, I have to say, it was a low income neighborhood, but it was clearly not where I wanted to be. He was just going to drop me off at this house that had the address Cali 53 because that was what he had on the Uber GPS. But I'm like, I'm trying to find a way in English, in Spanish, and my translator's not working. I'm talking to him and I'm trying to just tell him that he should be going east instead of west. And eventually I was able to convince him to get on the highway, the circle that goes around Mérida, the highway that goes around Mérida, and take the exit off of Avenue Gavin Levine and take me to where I needed to be. But now here's where Uber's security kicked in because of them monitoring the route that the Uber driver is going in. It knew from based on my previous rides that I may not be going in the right direction. And so Uber sent me a text message. And the text message in essence said, "You are not where you are supposed to be. Are you okay? Hit the okay button if you're okay, and click the other button if you're not okay." And so in this particular case, I felt okay. And so I hit the button that said, "I'm okay." And Carlos did eventually take me where I needed to be. So that was an added extra security from Uber that I really, really appreciated. The other thing about security when you're taking a ride share is that you need to set it up to ask for a code. You don't necessarily have to have a code, but I set it up in the app to get a code every time I request a ride. So when the driver arrives, I've got to give him the code. He's got to type in the code into the system. And once it's been confirmed that, yes, I'm who I am and he's who he is, then the ride can proceed. That's either with Didi or Uber. So that's extremely important that you use the code to make sure that you're getting in the right car. Now, I know before I started using the code, the app would tell you the license plate, the name, the color, the name of the driver. And so when the car would pull up, I would check the license plate on the back and make sure that who's coming to get me is who's supposed to be there. All right. And so, yeah, there's a difference between Uber and Didi. One thing I didn't know about Didi is that Didi is a China-based ride-sharing app or ride-sharing service. They have food delivery. They have restaurant. You can get food from the restaurant. And so Didi has all kinds of services. It's best to download it on your phone so that you can see everything that Didi has to offer. All right. And so I also want to talk about how to get from the airport, from the Cancun airport to Merida. Now, I have this app that will show you the different ways that you can get from, let's see if it's showing it yet. The different ways you can get from Cancun to Merida. Now, I'm not sure what this one is. It says from Cancun International Airport for 50,000 to 150,000 pesos. That's way too much, okay? There's also, you can drive from Cancun to Merida. That's like about $30 to maybe about 45, almost $45 in US dollars if you take a car. There's also a shuttle from Cancun to Merida, which typically costs anywhere from 480 pesos, which is about $24, to 5,500 pesos, which is about what is that about? Well, when you don't know, all you have to do is ask your phone. Watch this. This is what I like to do. How much is 5,500 pesos in US dollars? $266.16. Okay. And so that's one way you can get from Cancun to Merida. Also, you can fly. You could take a flight, a regional flight on a regional airline for about, I think it's like $100 some from Cancun to Merida. So this site called Roam to Rio, roamtorio.com will give you the different options that you can take from Cancun to Merida. Okay, I like that site. All right, now I also did a previous video about how to get from Cancun Airport to Merida. Yeah, you can go out to my website, which is Jackie R Life Abroad, where I talk about how you can get from the Cancun Airport to Merida, Mexico, the steps that you could take. But I also, in this particular video, want to give you some additional information about how to get from Cancun using either Uber or Didi, which will not pick you up from the airport. So you got to get from the airport to where you can catch either the bus, a shuttle, take Uber or Didi to get from Cancun to Merida. Who takes the lead? Didi, Uber, a shuttle, a private driver? Let's talk about it, okay? Neither Uber nor Didi operates directly from the Cancun airport, thanks to local taxi unions. I talked about that before. The taxis want to have the monopoly on rides from the airport, either to the hotel zone or to downtown Cancun, right? But both Uber and Didi technically offer long haul rides. So they will take you the distance from Cancun all the way to Merida. Didi often provides a more cost-effective fare. They're not as costly as Uber would be. However, Uber's robust driver screening and advanced navigation system may offer more peace of mind for that ride than taking Didi for an extended trip. So when you book your ride, make sure to specify that it's a long distance trip when you put it in the app, and communicate clearly with the driver to confirm that they are comfortable with taking that long journey. All right. Now, given the distance from Cancun to Mérida, consider checking both apps for estimated fares. Find out how much is it going to cost you before you actually order either one of those ride shares. Some travelers opt to pre-book. You could pre-book a ride prior to you arriving, and consider other transportation options, because once you look at how much it's going to cost to either do Uber or how much it's going to cost to do Didi, you might not want to fork up that much money. And so what are some of the other transportation options? All right, here's the hack. Here it is. I'm going to lay it out. I'm going to lay it out for you. Again, Uber is available in Cancun City. So you got to get from the airport to downtown Cancun. So how do you do that? All right, you have a few options. Now, you can rent a car, you can take a bus, or you can take a private shuttle. So here are the steps. If you rent a car, once you get to the Cancun airport, you head over to the rent-a-car customer service and book a car if you haven't booked it in advance. Then you drive from Cancun to Mérida, which is approximately a 4-hour drive. 4 hours from Cancun to Mérida. Now, the cost for rental car rates can vary, but you can expect to pay between $30 and $60 per day, depending on the car type and the rental company. So that's not bad. $30 or $60 per day. Well, $60, you got a high-end car. Taking the bus. Now, from Cancun Airport, you take a shuttle or a taxi. Now, if you take a taxi, make sure that it is an official taxi. Not somebody who just pulls up and asks you if you want to ride and you desperate, or you don't know, or you don't understand, or you don't speak Spanish. No, there's a concierge there for taxi drivers, how they line up and they pull up, and you want to make sure that you get an official taxi. Okay. Let's see, take a shuttle or the taxi to the ADO bus station in downtown Cancun. So that taxi or the shuttle is going to cost you about $30. Okay. $30. So if they ask for 40 or 50, you already know up front that the cost is $30. You make sure that you tell the taxi driver up front before you put your luggage in and before you sit down that the ride is going to cost $30. Okay. How much is that in pesos? Let me ask. How much is 30 US dollars in Mexican pesos? 619 pesos. 619.92 pesos. Okay, so if you got pesos, that would be a 500 peso and maybe a 200 or another 100. So you need to have pesos. If you don't have pesos, then you'll use your credit card to make that payment for the taxi driver. I don't even think the taxi, some of them take credit cards, but you need to make sure that you let him know up front that the ride is $30. Now, once you get to downtown Cancun to the auto bus station, now you have to purchase a bus ticket that will take you directly from Cancun to Mérida. Now, the auto bus has different types of buses. There's the regular bus, and then there's the premium bus. Now, this diva took the premium bus, okay? The premium bus has Wi-Fi. They offer water. Okay. They have a television on the back of the seat in front of you. You can recline. There's a bathroom on board. It's very comfortable. They have curtains where you can close the curtains on the windows, and it's non-stop. The driver didn't stop for anybody. Okay, he just kept right on going from downtown Cancun to Mérida. All right. Now the bus ticket ranges from anywhere from $20. And if you get that $20 bus, now you might be stopping along the way in different towns, but the $40 was for the premium bus ticket. Okay. Or if you are high rollers, you can book a private shuttle. Now, pre-book the shuttle. Now, I use Viator. You can go online to Viator, Viator.com. They have bookings for not only transportation, but local attractions, all kinds of things you can book on Viator. So you can book it in advance, and the driver will meet you at the airport. And that's kind of like when I got to Cancun, when I went to Cancun and I had booked a private driver, and they stand there with the sign and it got your name on it. Welcome to Cancun, Jackie Robinson. It's just a wonderful feeling to be those people that have your name on a card. Okay, so if you book a private shuttle from Cancun Airport to Mérida, that's what's going to happen. They're going to have a little card with your name on it saying welcome, and they're going to take you straight on. Now, the cost for that is between $150 to $200. So if you pre-book it, then you can pay with your credit card, or you would have to pay in US dollars. I mean, I'm not US dollars. They may allow you to book it with a credit card or those pesos. Now, most of y'all may not have even converted US dollars to pesos at this time. And so that's why it's important to investigate the information ahead of time, so you'll know whether or not you need to convert money at the airport or if you can use your credit card. And so you can either do bus, or you can rent a car, or you could do a private shuttle, or you could take a flight from Cancun to Mérida. But choose the option that best works for your budget and your travel preferences. But also make sure to check for any travel restrictions or requirements in place at the time of your trip. Yeah, you need to know what's going on before you leave your home city. Have it all planned out so that there are no hiccups. So what's the final verdict on Uber versus Didi? All right. Use Uber for better convenience, English support, and airport hacks. I told you how to get from the airport to Mérida, those steps. Didi is ideal for budget travelers sticking to Central Mérida. Now, let me say, when they talk about budget travel, the city is not huge in terms of mileage. You can get from the north side to the south side in 15 or 20 minutes, right? You can get from the east side to the west side in about 15 or 20 minutes. And so for where I am, where I need to go, it's not very far. It might take 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most. Those Uber rides in US dollars are like $4, $5, $2. Then you leave a 5, 10, 15, 20% tip. And it might be 50 cents, 99 cents. And so using the credit card options on your apps, I know for me, every time I spend money, Fidelity sends me a ding dong either on my watch or an email to let me know how much money I have spent. And I'm always surprised when it comes back that my Uber ride was like $2.95. It just seems, I'm not sure. So you leave a big tip, what you think is big tip, 20%. 20% is not a lot. Okay. So you have the option, if you got pesos, to get a guy a little extra. I mean, that's what I did when I needed some extra time on a ride. Just get the driver a little extra. All right. And so it's important, whether Uber or Didi, that you download both apps, have both apps on your phone, carry cash. And when I say cash, I mean pesos, because here in Mérida, Mexico, they do not accept US dollars in any form or fashion. You got to have pesos. And once you have all that set, then enjoy the Yucatan experience. All right. All right. Now, I'm going to stress this again. Always confirm your pickup location and your destination with your driver, because a lot of these colonial streets can be confusing. Like my situation with Carlos, where I needed to go to Cali 53, San Antonio, Montebello, and all I put in was Cali 53, and Carlos had me way on the other side of town. All right. You ready to explore? If you're ready to explore, I need you to hang with me. Hang with Jackie Robinson, Life Abroad. And be sure to hit the like button for this video and subscribe. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe. And help me get to 500. I know y'all can do it. Share it with your family, share it with your friends, share it with your colleagues. But help Jackie Robinson get to 500 subscribers, okay? Appreciate y'all very much. Safe travel.